Media recognition from Bloomberg, Reuters, recycling trade publications. Patented process for 100% recovery of critical metals, including cobalt, lithium, nickel, manganese, aluminum. American Manganese is focused on recycling lithium-ion batteries for electric vehicles. American Manganese trades on the TSX Venture, AMY, the US, AMYZF, and Frankfurt 2AM. For more information, visit AmericanManganeseInc.com or phone me, Larry Ray, at 778-574-4444.
You're listening to HowStreet.com radio, available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. Welcome to HowStreet.com radio, the online source for market opinions. Here is Jim Goddard.
My guest is Mike Swanson, editor of WallStreetWindow.com. Welcome back to the show, Mike.
Oh, it's great to talk with you today.
It seems that telling people what they want to hear makes you popular, and it probably means you can sell more ads. In other words, the Wall Street Journal had an interesting article that you'd like to talk about where people give financial advice or views on YouTube, and they have found if you're going to sell ads, you have to be popular, and to be popular, just tell people what they want to hear, not what they need to hear. What's your take on that?
Well, there's a few 2 or 3 months ago, I look at YouTube, but the way the internet works is all these websites, YouTube, Facebook, Google, they know what you like to see and hear or what you're interested in and give you that. So someone like me on YouTube that's interested in the precious metals market, I'll often see your interviews you do with other guests show up on my feed. Kitco News comes up quite often too. But there's a whole nother world out there. And a couple of months ago, I went and looked to see what are the biggest financial channels right now, because this can change year by year. And they were ones that basically I'd never heard of and really began to get a big following after the stock market crashed in 2020. For instance, there's a fellow named, his channel's called Meet Kevin, and he's based in California, and he does multiple videos a day, and he'll stream the stock market and just talk and so forth. And there's a couple other people like this, but I watched a couple of them, and I didn't really get anything out of it. They weren't saying anything that, got my interest. But they've gotten a giant following. And the Wall Street, so their following has coincided with the explosion of new traders into the market that came after the crash, and particularly people opening up Robinhood accounts. And some of these people cater just to them. Well, these people have massive followings. Some of them are getting videos where they get 1 million views. It's quite remarkable. And the Wall Street Journal did a story 2 weekends ago about this. And most of these people, they're just making money from the advertisements that they share with Google on the videos. But they said that if they say things, but most of them are cheerleading stocks like AMC, GameStop, the popular stocks among Robinhood account holders, or crypto, or doing both. And if they go against any of these things, what'll happen is their views will drop. And one of the people being interviewed said that even if, they're doing an hour-long video and they say something negative about Bitcoin or one of these popular fad stocks, the views collapse. And what'll happen is YouTube will see that the views dropped and think, oh, these viewers don't want to see it, the next video. And then their overall views from then on can fall too. So one of the people being interviewed said, they realize this, and therefore they're always going to be bullish about the things they talk about because they don't want to risk angering the algorithms. And I just find it quite a remarkable thing. And I think this development has really been a hidden thing that's created a huge shift in the financial media among commentators talking about it. There's a big YouTube channel that's been around for a couple years called Real Vision, and it started out being very bullish on precious metals and bearish on crypto and bearish on the stock market, and now it's completely embraced being bullish on the stock market and Bitcoin. So I think it's a sign of the times of where we are. And I've been, through many cycles now after having done this since around the late 90s. We saw a cycle in 2000 of people really bullish on internet stocks and aligning themselves with them, but this is much different. Perhaps the person at the very top of the financial media and investing at the moment is Cathie Wood, who runs the ARK funds. I mean, she does nonstop interviews all over the place, not just on CNBC or Bloomberg, but Yahoo Finance and other YouTube channels too, and is extremely bullish all the time. Basically speaks just as I've heard many of the experts talk about the internet stocks back then. Like, these are exponential technologies and evaluations don't matter. And if you doubt something like Tesla, what she owns and is very bullish on, then she'll say, well, you just don't understand it. And that's the same stuff the internet stock bulls are saying in 2000. If you're not a believer that these stocks can go up forever, then you just don't understand them. And of course, they ended up collapsing. This is not to say that the stock market's going to collapse this week or this year, but I definitely, as I've said before, believe it is overvalued. And in the end, the idea that valuations do not matter always ends up biting those who try to make that a principle in their trading and investing.
We'll have more with Mike Swanson right after this.
Don't miss out. Stay informed. Receive the HowStreet.com weekly recap with thought-provoking podcasts, radio, and articles delivered to your inbox. Sign up for the HowStreet.com weekly recap on our homepage at HowStreet.com.
Welcome back. We're speaking with Mike Swanson. Mike, what's going on with gold?
Well, we saw gold take a... Well, if you gotta always step back and look at the big picture. The daily gyrations are, what gets our attention. But when you look at the big picture, gold has really been in a trading range all year, with 1,700 as support, and probably 1,900 is the current resistance level. And we hit 1,700 in early August, after making a double bottom off that level in February, March, and we're rallying back up. Today we're trading around 1,800 abouts, but I do think, overall the next move is going to be an attack of that 1,900 level. At some point we'll break out of it and then have the next leg higher. I'm not exactly, sure exactly when that's going to happen. I'm going to say get to 1,900 first. But we spent several years trading below 1350. I think it was 3 or 4 years, and broke that level in 2019 and had a tremendous rally up to 2000. So that's kind of what I expect will happen. We'll get, up maybe even to 3000 once we see the next big rally. But we're in a sideways phase right now, and, it feels like a psychological bear market for people in it, because it wears on people's patience when they hold something and, it's just basically going sideways and has its ups and downs. But that's basically where we're at. That does make still an opportunity to buy the best, small cap mining stocks. There'll be some that outperform and don't go sideways and just tend to go up and up on news, or because they're new and they're coming out of a low valuation, and so forth. But the way I'm handling this sector is I just have a core position, and I have a percentage of my account allocated to gold and mining stocks, so if they drop, and that makes the allocation fall, like say I want to be 20% invested and that goes down to 19.5 invested, I'll buy more to get back up to 20. And that's the easiest way from a money management perspective to navigate a sector over several years. So that's what I'm doing, and I speak from someone that in the past used to trade big positions. In the 2000 decade, I would be 100% in gold mining stocks and not really trade anything else, and both did tremendously well versus the stock market. But despite that, it's still difficult if you're 100% in something that can be as volatile as gold, because you can get a 10% pullback in mining stocks, or even 20% once a year. I think we've already seen that this year, so I'm not worried about that now. But if you hold 100%, something dips 10 or 20, then it's easy to get shaken out.
What's going on with uranium?
The uranium stocks have gotten a big bid in them. As we speak today, Cameco is up 4.8%. It's the biggest uranium producer. It's trading at a new high for the year. Like most commodities, uranium had been in decline up until last year when it made a final new low. So I think it's just going up with an overall, bullish trend since last year in commodities and in precious metals and energy stocks too. But for the moment, the uranium sector is trading stronger than other commodity stocks. I mean, that's when I say for the moment, I mean the past 2 or 3 months. I don't know if that means anything for the rest of the year, though.
I know you like to kind of keep an eye on what's going on with the so-called Robinhooders. What's going on with them?
Well, it's interesting. I was just looking as we're talking, and I mentioned Kathy Wood earlier in the interview, and her fund is in the top 100 list. And if you look at the last big momentum play for Robinhood people, it was the Robinhood stock itself. It went public in August, opened around right under 40 and dipped below 35, and then it surged all the way up to 85, but it's been fading ever since. It's now at 42. So it's following, the stock itself is following the same pattern as AMC, GameStop, other these plays where Robinhood people have piled in, as they saw it go up, and then it peaks out and just becomes a dead play. So I think that's where the stock's headed. They keep trying, they keep repeating themselves in these kind of chart patterns over and over again. But one of the more interesting things about Robinhood now is, we could always look at the top 100 list, but because it's gone public, we now have more information, and the company has actually reported that trading volumes among its customers has actually dissipated this summer. That's not too unusual, because that tends to happen anyway, particularly in August. But if the Robinhood, if the future of Robinhood traders is bright, then they're going to begin to trade more often again, and that'll help the bottom line of the Robinhood company, because the more trades their customers do, the more money they make. They make money off order flow. Now, if the Robinhood stock, though, is an indication of the future of Robinhood traders, it's not a very bright one, because it's been going down the past month. So if the stock was making new highs, that would be good, but it's not. So I don't know what, long term, any correction of 20% in the stock market will really beat these people up. And a drop in Bitcoin would do the same thing too, because they're heavily invested in Bitcoin. Over 60% of Robinhood account holders own cryptocurrency. And we have seen Bitcoin go up and touch 50,000 today after having gone below 40,000, or really below even hitting 30. It's had a rally back up to 50, but I think that rally might be over today as we speak, because markets tend to go into rumors and then sell the news. So bulls look for events to buy into, and then when the events hit, they take money off the table, and the masses, buy into the event. They think, oh, this is great. And today we had an event when it comes to Bitcoin. The country of El Salvador announced that along with the U.S. dollar, they were going to make Bitcoin a national currency, telling all companies in their country that they must accept Bitcoin as payment. So this is going to be an interesting experiment in one of the most dictatorial countries on the planet. That's the irony, that Bitcoin people think Bitcoin represents freedom, and now it's one of the most dictatorial countries on the planet that is going to use Bitcoin as a currency. So that's an interesting contradiction. I say that because, El Salvador is a military, it was a military dictatorship for a very long time. It made a shift into a more democratic form of government, but now it has a strong-arm leader who, is firing judges, changing the elections. He's had goons go into the parliament with guns to intimidate lawmakers, and now he's forcing companies to take Bitcoin. It's not their choice. So it's freedom to me represents the ability to make more choices. He's actually using Bitcoin to restrict people's choices, and what is going to happen to the small person or the just a regular person who's now forced to have money in Bitcoin, and what will happen when it goes down 20 or 30%. How is that going to impact their economy? So this experiment, I think is going to end in disaster, but it's interesting. Might be that's one way to say what it'll be like to be a spectator in this. I thank God I don't live there.
Mike, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you. Great talking with you.
My guest has been Mike Swanson, editor of WallStreetWindow.com. If you have any questions for Mike, you can send them to info@HowStreet.com, and the next time we talk to Mike, we'll ask that question for you. Our YouTube channel is Talk Digital Network. Find us on Twitter @HowStreet. We're also on Facebook. I'm Jim Goddard. Thank you for listening.
Comments made on HowStreet.com radio are an expression of opinion only and should not be construed in any matter whatsoever as recommendations to buy or sell any financial instrument at any time. Available online at TalkDigitalNetwork.com. HowStreet.com radio is a production of HowStreet Media Incorporated.